Yeah, you're good. All right, we're ready, man.
You go first.
We could rock on that all day. That's a lot of fun. Hey, my friends, how you doing? Eric Andreas, your guitar sage. Papa Stash, Brett Papa. Do you guys know this guy? If you don't, you need to. But most of you guys know who he is. He's a beast on the guitar and a beast teacher. And he happens to be in town today. He's cutting some videos, right? You're doing some courses. In fact, we're going to have a URL. You've got a URL for us.
Yeah.
What, can you tell us a little bit about it real quick?
This is a course, basically it specializes in minor pentatonic, and it's kind of more rock, you know? I'm a blues rock kind of guy, but it really takes the pentatonic scale and then fuses the cage system with it to really teach people how to like target notes and improvise and do all that stuff. And then the link also has another, if you get that course, you get a free course with it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. So we're going to hit you guys up with that link later on.
Sweet.
So what we're going to do, Brett, it literally just came here like last minute here. I need to plug this laptop in. This is how haphazard we are today.
Well, it looks impressive.
It looks really impressive.
Last time I was here, you had like one little laptop, and now it's...
But it's really not. It's not. It's if everybody saw it, that this is the size of a tuna can in here.
I'm impressed.
It's really small.
Well, you got to make room because you got your jumper, your trampoline in there, and all your weights.
That's right. And we got
to have priorities. I mean, look at you.
We got to work out. I'm getting weak. All right, folks. So here's how it goes. So Brett literally just came by here. And, ooh, let's not do that again. And so this is what we do, Brett. So for about 40 minutes, I teach.
Okay.
And I'm going to have you jumping in, telling your bits and pieces today, too, because really we covered a lot yesterday. So for those of you that are looking on how to improvise over jam tracks and loops, you've come to the right place, because this is part 2. So yesterday we talked a bit about like key, like you know, like what does it take to improvise? I think a lot of people think, and jump in here at any time, Brett. I think a lot of people think that, okay, you can play guitar, or you can, sing is a little bit easier, but you can play guitar, well, go play that song, you know?
Right.
And there's some guys that are at that level, their ears are so good that they might be able to pull something like that out, but most guitar players are not able to do such a feat.
No.
I mean, you really have to be playing just nonstop, and even then it doesn't guarantee anything.
No.
So I was saying yesterday that in order to improvise, you got to know the key, obviously. You kind of got to know the tempo, of course, which is just you're hearing it.
Sure.
The feel of the song. So in that case, it was blues. If we were playing a bunch of Neapolitan, Mixolydian,
What'd you call
diminished. That sort of.
I don't even know what that is. What's
I don't
Neapolitan?
know what that, I'm making stuff up.
Right.
No, I think
I
there
call
actually
it the
is.
I don't know Ian mode.
Yeah, I don't know Ian mode. So we got to have a vibe, at least as far as patterns and what have you on the fretboard. We talked about that, and then we said, and then we talked about phrasing, which Brett and I just did in essence. I said something, he said something, and we went back and forth like we were conversing about a particular something. And so we talked about that yesterday. We talked about keys, phrasing, and all that good stuff. So today, what I was going to show them is we have the handy pedal cam set up.
Oh,
and
check you out.
Yeah, and I'm just going to show them a little bit on how to work the looper, because I want to get that out of the way for folks that are like, how do you use a looper pedal? And basically that's what I'm going to be.
Well, good. I need to learn this too.
Me too. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just
all right. So it's
I'm going
crash
to kick on
course.
some buttons and hopefully we'll get a good loop.
Right, exactly.
So we'll do that real quick, because really you guys are in for a treat today, because Brett knows some stuff. He's really cool with the way that he phrases and the stuff that he comes up with. So it's great. I'm so happy to have him in the studio today. So he'll show us what he's thinking. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. When you're phrasing.
Yeah.
So we can get this idea. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump straight into the questions here. I don't know why my laptop's not. I'm sure people out there want to care about my laptop not charging, but it's kind of important. Yeah. But we're going to be talking about that. Then we're taking Q&A, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions too that folks are going to be hitting you up with here today. So let's start. So what we're going to do here first, my friends, is I'm going to show you really quickly how to use a looper pedal. Okay, so in essence, we've got jam tracks and we've got loops, and these are really effective for being able to do what we've just done.
Yeah,
you use these all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brett's creating jam tracks himself.
What I was doing last night.
That's right. Yeah. He was here in Nashville studio recording some jam tracks. So essentially, what we're doing with jam tracks and loops is we've got a canvas, if you will, and it's saying, hey, this is what I'm suggesting to you. It's got the tempo, it's got a key, and then using your ear or the bits and pieces through theory or what you're learning through a guitar teacher or a book or something, you're going to understand, okay, well, I can start here. And Brett, the second you know the pentatonic scale and you know the key to something, you're immediately playing like Stevie Ray Vaughan, right? That's all you need is the pentatonic scale and the tempo, and you're playing like Stevie Ray.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, right. That's I think the biggest misnomer of all. Like when I was learning guitar, I learned the major and the minor scales and the pentatonic scale, and then my guitar teacher's like, well, here's a chord progression, I just jam. And it's like, okay, but what ends up happening is you just rely on the memorized scale positions rather than actually knowing how to utilize it. And it wasn't until, not that long ago in my own playing, which is kind of embarrassing, but that I started hanging out with really good guitar players, and everybody was always like, chords. See the chords all over the neck. But nobody had a system for that either.
Right.
And then that's when I know you teach a lot about the cage system too. But if you can get to where you can just take the pentatonic scale, because if you're just starting out, seriously, that's the best place to go. It's the easiest scale to use. 99% of everything you hear, whether it's on the radio or Stevie Ray Vaughan or any of these guys, are using the pentatonic scale.
See? I'm not lying to you.
No, I've learned hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of solos.
Can you use it in country?
You can use it in everything. The guys in country,
right?
So that's perfect. The guys in country, they use the pentatonic scale, and then they also play out of the chord shapes. That's country 101.
Yeah.
So they fuse those two things together, which is not much different than what we're saying, right? You learn. The most beneficial thing you can do to learn how to actually phrase melodically is learn to see the chords of your progression inside your pentatonic scale. I'm going to give examples on how to do that, but it's, for me, and in my own videos and stuff that I post online, that's the number one thing that's broken through to everybody across the board.
Yeah.
Like, that's the number one comment I get. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Right? And you teach it all the time because you know how important it is, right?
Yeah.
The cage system is... If I could give you one piece of advice, learn the pentatonic scale in major and minor, and the good thing is it's the same shapes.
Right, exactly.
And learn the cage system and how it fits inside that pentatonic shape.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we could, if you want, we can break it down, but like, it's ridiculous how much it helps. And then the next part, you know, obviously is when you can see chords. You know, you always hear about arpeggios. Well, it's just you know, the notes of a chord broken up separately. So everyone gets intimidated because they think like Ingve arpeggios, right?
Right.
Arpeggios are just a simple way of playing a piece of a chord to be melodic, and that is what will help the melody aspect of your playing grow. And then you can use the pentatonic scale more as that, like, you know, my buddy Tim Pierce, he always goes for melody and then brings it back with the blues. You know, but you can do both of those if you can see the chords inside, because you know what notes to hit. Even if you're going to do a freaking salty blues lick, you still know what notes to land on when you're resolving and stuff. So
So it takes, so even though we've got these tools, you're saying it takes a little while, right?
It can, but like, you know, it's just, you know, say we're in A, right? A major. And I don't know, what's a typical A progression, right? We got, okay, right? And then, so yeah, and then E, right? So if I'm using the cage system, which you talk about all the time, right? Well, I know that in a major pentatonic, I'll just take position 4, for instance. Right? Well, right here is my A chord, right? And so I know over that A chord, right, licks like that. Now, it's also knowing the cage system, I know there's an A here. So I can bend this. Right? You need to learn that, oh, this is my root. When I bend this note, it's the third, right? The note that makes it major or minor. So you need, it's good to start to know what the intervals are.
Yeah.
But if you can just see the shapes, it's a bulletproof way to, like, no matter what, come hell or high water, these 3 notes are going to work over that A chord.
Yeah.
So just play like an A. Right? You can do more. Now, when you go to the D chord, the great thing about the cage system is, well, if you look at the E shape of the cage system of these chords, right, the D's right there, so it's right. So this is where it really comes into play, and this is where you're gonna learn the modes as well. You may not know what the mode is called, but you're gonna be playing a mode because now you've introduced a note that's not in the pentatonic system, right? So I don't know the modes to save my life. I know pentatonic, like
I know them, don't use them.
I know them by ear, like maybe Dorian, right? You know, I know the major scale, but like Ionian and whatever, all these other Mixolydian, I know the sound of it, right? But I don't know it. But I'll inadvertently know it because I can see the chords, right? So back to D. So I'm jamming over the A.
Can I stop you real quick right there?
Yeah.
Because I want to explain something, because what you're saying is totally spot on, and I've said this before, is that people ask me all the time, they're like, tell me about the modes, tell us about the modes, tell us about the modes. And I say, if you're not a hardcore like jazz player, like thinking that way is going to make you run through the mode once that chord comes along, and it's just going to sound really like, okay, you know that mode, as opposed to there being maybe one note that's different about it that makes it the mode. So for instance, the difference between major and the Mixolydian scale is one note.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's all it is. So if you know that chord that you're playing there has that new note in it, you just play that note. And then you're not like trying to play some
and then you don't sound like it's math, right? I mean, it sounds like it's music. Math. So over the D chord, so we'd have A here, and the next chord you went to was the D. Well, I'm still in position 4. My D chord's right there. So now I have, that gives you cool licks like, right? Nice. And I hit 2 notes of actually I can slide in, right? Over the D chord, play the D. Now, the reason that worked is because I literally just played every single note of the D chord. Right? I slid in on the 3rd, hit the 5th, root, and then I came back to here, which is a shared note of both the A chord and the D chord.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't go wrong, and that's what I would do if you want to learn to solo melodically, you can't go wrong fusing pentatonic and cage together. Cage is the single most important thing you will ever learn as a guitar player. Hands
I think
down.
so too, yeah.
Hands, especially when it comes to learning how to improvise soloing. But it works great for, like, you know, we're in Nashville and all these guys doing these killer rhythm parts. Two guitar players, you can't play the same thing.
Yep.
So they use that system to come up with, you know, really cool rhythm parts too.
Yes.
So works great for that. But if we took it one step further and you went A, D, you can have E. You can do the E here, but you're right here. You also have an E here. Right, this shape.
I mentioned this, I believe it was yesterday, talking about Comfortably Numb, right? The
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then the second chord
Yep.
is an A chord.
It's an A
So,
chord.
I mean, he's like literally all over it.
He is the king.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to learn how to melodically solo in a rock context, and what I like Gilmour so much for is he doesn't always play over typical chord progression. So exactly what you were saying, I guarantee you David doesn't know the mode that he's switching into. Right. You know, when the chord, because they have weird chord changes, right? He'll play pentatonic 101 and then a chord change will come and he'll hit that one note. And it's like, he's a genius.
And you know where this happens is, you know, we only see the finished product. So you see Gilmour and everybody's like, oh God, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he's an amazing player. I mean, my God, the guy is so melodic. But what you don't see is, and I don't know about Gilmour specifically, but probably, and a lot of players where they're in the studio, they're playing the chord progression, they're playing what they know, and then they go to that chord and they're like, oh, hold on, something doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
You do this, right? And then you go, well, something doesn't sound right, and you get frustrated. Well, that's a perfect opportunity to understand that that's where you can bring some magic in, because now there's a note there that's really going to sing out. It's not the note that you're usually trying to grab. So in those moments, just consider that like magic. I always think about those moments as magic when I'm playing. Not if it's live and it's just coming up on me, then that's going to be embarrassing. But like if you're developing your playing.
Absolutely, and don't forget that, you know, Gilmour, Hendrix, these guys would, you know, Gilmour especially, he'll play over a progression and do 30 tracks of leads and then just pick out pieces, and then you hear the end product and you're like, oh my God, Comfortably Numb. It's this, but it's like 50 or 60 guitar tracks that he just picked little pieces. And Hendrix, he would play a song 50 times in the studio. So it's not magic, you know what I mean? Don't get intimidated because you can't jam right away, right? These guys all spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. They never did not have a guitar in their hands. So, I mean, don't get frustrated in the beginning either.
And that it just doesn't come out like that. It's like when you see that finished product, it makes you feel like you're different than them. And you're not. You're just not. We are not. You know, any difference that you see in playing would have to do with the amount of time that you spend on the instrument. And that's fair. I'm not going to say that I'm playing like Yngwie. But if I played the same amount of hours as Yngwie, I probably would be pretty close to what Yngwie does. You know? But you'd have to play that much. And with that sort of passion and that just consistent, the guy is just, or whoever, is just voracious about practice. So.
Yeah, and you know what comes across more than...
And he doesn't teach.
Anything.
Or make videos. Or do live shows.
The thing that comes across most with people is the amount of heart you put into what you're playing. Because I've been to plenty of Yngwie shows, and I've walked out 5 songs into it. You know what I mean? Because it's like you see his gig, and then you'll go to some other. And I love Yngwie, so that's not, you know. I'm not saying I don't like Yngwie because he's just vibrato is just the king.
Oh my God!
But there's been plenty of times where I go to a show and the guy's up there just, you know, doing like the. But it's perfect and it has attitude and an edge and it fits to what they're doing. So don't think you've got to play fast or. If you want to, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I had the technique to play like Yngwie, I would bust out a lick now and then. You know what I mean? But like, it's not at the foremost of what I'm thinking now. Technique is definitely taking a backseat to melody now to me too. And that's what'll honestly it'll. You know, I think as you get older and more mature as a player, that's what will give you satisfaction in guitar playing is being able to melodically play over something well with feel and heart rather than. You know, because it's just at that point you're just trying to show off.
So indeed, great. That's good stuff. That's amazing stuff.
Sorry, I had some.
No, that's great. And I want to we're going to dig in. I want to dig into this some more. So we're gonna get some questions here in just a minute as well. But let's do this really quick, Brett. I want to show the kids at home how to use a looper, because essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing the same thing except with a jam track here. Now I'm gonna have to scoot up and I'm barefoot, so sue me.
So you have nice feet.
Thank you.
Not too hairy.
Thank you. You say that all the time. It's weird.
You don't look like Fred. He shaved his feet right before he got on air. I saw it.
Right before.
Yeah.
So you can see the little looper pedal. You can see my foot right there. Can you? We got a still shot. We don't have a moving shot. That's weird. Okay, we may have a problem with that camera, the feed.
Restart the camera.
Okay, we're gonna try this again here, friends. Just
it's 2018. You want things to just turn on and work, right? But it's every time there's a computer, there's something.
Cool. It'd be cool. You're real cool.
Anybody out there, if you can figure that out, you'll be a trillionaire. I swear.
Okay, we're going to try this again. We're going to wait for this camera to come back up. But here's the deal. When we're talking about building loops, think about it like this. So for those of you that are new to music, this is going to be a little bit like, what's he talking about? For those of you that know what I'm talking in regards to the basic structure of music, there's a downbeat, and there's an upbeat, and there's a measure, and usually things are very symmetrical when we're talking about music. Okay, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the pulse of a song, and those would be called measures. So you have that strong 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then again 2, 3, 4. Okay, and what happens is when we're talking about a loop, when we want to have a perfect loop, then the loop would begin on the downbeat of 1. So you hear your drummer 1, 2, 3, and the band begins boom right on the 1. Okay, in the case of a loop, we want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. 3, 4, and out 2, 3. If it's a one measure loop, which it wouldn't be, it would be longer than that. Okay, so we still don't have.
Unplugging the HDMI connection.
I did. We just don't have. You could also try and plug it over here in the other box there, but the box on the by the computer. Well, friends, we may not be able to do this today, and that's okay.
You can show it with your knee.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is this. I'm just going to play just a basic chord progression here. I'm going to do A minor, G, F, and E major. Okay. Nice and
romantic.
Yeah, nice and sexy, right? So so it's going to be 1, 3, 4. Let's see. I'm going to do it in 6. I'm just going to do that sort of thing, okay? We're good again. That's all I'm going to do, okay? Just like that basic bit. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. And that's how long the loop's going to be, and it's going to end literally just like that. We were on.
No, it wasn't.
It was.
Oh, we were frozen. Okay.
It was frozen now.
Yeah, boy. Hey, are we live? Are we live? Live is cool.
Live is cool.
Hi, Instagram. We are
kind of live. It's like what are those lights? Strobe live. We're strobe live.
Strobe live. if you're still hanging with us, then congratulations. Hey, guess what? Here's the deal.
How do you read comments? They come so fast.
We're giving away a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System today. So if you stick around, then you're a winner, okay? And, well, not everybody. Jeez.
Whoa.
But you're just a winner in my book, okay? So, but, okay, we're back.
And if you win, you're the winner of winners?
You're the winner of winners. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to wait. Well, no, we're not going to wait anything. We're live. It's just about 30-second delay here. But here's the deal. I'm just going to show you very quickly how to use a looper pedal. And so you can see my naked little foot there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play. And in fact, I'm going to go back to this pretty little patch right here. Okay, now, this is going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 chords, a measure apiece, that's 16 beats, and that's how long my loop should be, not 4 measures and a half a beat, because that's going to sound really bad. So when you're creating a loop, what you want to do is you want to kick in right on that first beat. Okay, beat 1 of the first measure, and then you want to kick out on the first beat of the first measure, not 4.5 beats. You want to, it's a seamless loop. So in order for it to be seamless, what we need to do is we need to count, to kick right in on the 1 to record our loop, and then to kick out right on the 1. And that will make a seamless loop. So your looper is going to be different. This is built into my Kemper amp, so it's going to be a little bit different. But essentially, this pedal, this one right here, is going to be where I start the loop. Now, here's another little trick that if you're not used to using loops or loopers, what you want to do is you want to play the last bit of the loop first before you actually kick in and start on the loop. Because listen, if I'm playing this chord progression and I've got all these effects going, and then I start my loop here, boom. Do you hear anything right now? Yeah, I do. And that means that bit would be lost in the loop if you just started it right in the 1 here. It would sound a little bit weird, okay? So what you want to do is, especially if you're using lots of reverb or delay or something like that, you want to play through the loop one time and then kick the pedal on, as you're going to see here right on the 1 beat, okay? So I'm just going to play through it one time and you're going to see me kick it on, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Watch my foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 1, 2. That's a little bit obnoxious, so sorry, and I didn't have my looper set up here. Okay, one more time here. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Starting the loop now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I had something in there, I apologize. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Loop now. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Loop out now. And now we got a perfect seam. Now we can. Okay, so that's just like the basic idea of how to create a loop. Brett, do you have anything that you want to add to that? I mean,
Yeah,
I know that's
absolutely.
real. I know that's real basic, but
No, but what we were talking about with the cage system, this is exactly what I would do with that.
Okay.
Is go to the pentatonic, whatever key you're in, right?
yeah. So we did A minor, G, F, and E major.
Right. Okay, so go to every single position. Start with position 1. Position 1 in the pentatonic
Okay.
scale. Find that chord.
So,
Right.
So he's saying that the chord is within this
And
form 1, which it is.
Play those notes. All right, what's the next chord?
A G major. this chord, which we talked about earlier, is not really in the key. So 99% of the chords that you're going to hear are in the key, and what we mean by that, without you studying a little bit of music theory, is that the major scale dictates what chords naturally occur. So when you hear 99% of the songs that you're hearing, these chords naturally appear, like major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7. That goes over your head, that's okay, but just understand there's some basic chords that automatically appear. But in this chord progression here, the E major should technically be minor. So it kind of throws something off here. But what you were saying is, instead of playing through the mode, I was saying the same thing here, instead of like playing through some crazy mode there, just know that that one chord is major instead of minor. So you only really have one note that you would be altering.
And if you look at the chord shape, and you're just dealing with, say you just knew the minor scale too, you would realize that one of the notes doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And that's the note to target, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I would go through.
You want to play it here?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so
position 1, and I'm going to use different cage shape positions, and that the purpose of this exercise is so you can start seeing the target notes, right? And then after you can do that, say 2 or 3 times through, where you can nail each chord in each spot, then try to make blues licks based around those chord shapes, right? And that'll start to get the phrasing to be more, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, I'll do this and I still sound like I'm in 2nd grade sometimes doing this, you know what I mean? But it's like that exploration of, oh wow, check that out, and oh, I didn't know that, actually 2 of those things would work, like a spot here and a spot, somewhere else, right? So anyways, if you play the chord progression, right, and that's G,
F, E major.
so So I'll just, the whole idea is to think nursery rhyme simplicity.
Yeah.
Right? And then. Now you don't always have to hit that.
Right.
Odd note, right? So that major third, because I can.
Why wouldn't you hit it all the time if it's there? Like what?
Because if you're soloing over, like say you get a 16-bar solo or something like that, and you keep doing the same thing every time,
right?
It starts to sound like whatever. And
sounds
also,
like, hey, I know what this chord is, everyone, and it gets a little predictable.
It does get predictable because I could just as easily do a killer blues lick like over that, or. Right. Either one would work, but after I do this a couple of times, it's like,
you get the idea.
Yeah, people get the idea.
So here's the deal. So there's some magic in what Brett's saying here. Now in the beginning, you're just going to be like pentatonic. Mm-hmm. How are they coming up with that note and thinking about that note? But let me real quickly here. If I play E major, it has this G sharp note in it. Okay. And look, if we play the blues scale, here's the G sharp. It's not in there, okay? It's not in our scale. So why would you play it? Well, you'd play it because that E major is playing it. The other guy in your band is playing it. So it's saying, hey, we're discussing this, at least for this chord band, we're discussing this note. And then you can throw it in there. But what Brett's saying is, if you do it every time, it just becomes predictable. It's like people are listening for it, and they're going to be like, okay.
Well, you can also hit it every time, but do it differently. Yeah. Like, so when you go over the E, right, you can. Right. Okay. I hit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I just used it in a chromatic. I could when the E comes around, I could target that note. So it doesn't have to be like you're just.
Yeah, you don't have to land right on it.
You can make it just part.
A spice.
right? And that's a blues lick, but you did. So the ear gets the satisfaction of like, oh, there was something different in there.
Yep.
But it's almost, you know what I mean? Subconsciously, your ear hears it.
And when you were a kid and you were listening to Warren D. Martini from Rat or any of these other guys, right? And they would hit that one note or whatever that you're like, what is that? There's something going on with that note. It would just punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Like, what is special about that note? And a lot of times that's what it is. It's sitting outside of the scale, but there's something about the structure of the song that's saying that. Or if you're, Eddie Van Halen or somebody like that, then you just throw the note in there and it doesn't really matter, but it sounds good anyhow. But,
well, and a lot of that old music too, the songs are mostly power chords.
Yeah.
So you can almost float in and out of stuff.
Yeah.
If the chord is, played long enough, those guys can do all that stuff. But here's another thing, like, your ear is really important too. And I wouldn't get so, like, what we teach and the scales and how to fuse the cage system, that is like top of the heap. But also why I say slow down and really do nursery rhyme stuff is so you can develop melodies. One of my friends used to, acquaintances I had used to manage Slash. And Slash doesn't, he literally thinks of guitars like half steps and whole steps. And you think, this guy's written how many like iconic Incredibles, I had no idea what he's doing.
Yeah.
But my friend's like, check this out. This is the first time I ever played this chord progression.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, Slash on his phone, right? And he's playing an odd chord progression, but Slash is just perfectly hitting over it because, again, he can see those notes of the chords. He's concentrating more on seeing like where he's at and where those chords are coming from, and that way he can hit all those kind of notes without having to think like, oh my god, what scale I'm in, you know what I mean?
Right. We mentioned this yesterday that Adrian Belew said he wouldn't know a pentatonic scale if it hit him in the head or something like that, and it's just like, but yet, and people say, well, see, he doesn't know theory, I don't need to know theory, but in fact, Slash, Adrian Belew, these guys do know theory, they just don't know the labels for it. They're seeing the patterns. You can't get away from the patterns.
No. And again, I would say, I interview a lot of session guitar players, and every single one of them, when I ask them how they solo, I see chords all over the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say 3 out of the 5, when I'd say, oh, is that position 1 pentatonic? They're like, what's position 1? They don't even know.
Yeah.
They know what the pentatonic scale is, but they don't know what the positions are or whatever.
Yeah.
They're constantly thinking about chords.
The chord, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they when they think pentatonic, they're like, oh, I'm going to throw in a blues lick. And they know a scale.
Right.
But they are still targeting those chord tones of the scale to sound legit. And those guys are doing it on the...
And that's what happens when you move to Nashville, because it's like you have to be so melodic, and it's so about fitting in and just the chord and not flanking away on your guitar, but just sitting in, that you have to play that way in order to sound good and to sound legit. You've got to be thinking about those chords all the time.
Well, and this is a perfect example of town, too, because you can walk into any guitar store and see incredible talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people that can technically play so good, but there's still only a handful of session guys that are used for everything. And it's because, if I can stress anything, learn to play to the song.
Yeah.
Don't play for your ego. Play for what enhances the experiment, the experience of the listener.
Yeah.
Obviously, be creative and stuff, but get out of the mindset of everything has to be fast or aggressive or whatever, because all these guys at the drop of a hat can play like a Sarah McLachlan kind of style song, and you're still improvising, right?
Yeah.
They're coming up with something out of nothing, so it's still classified as improvising, but then at the drop of the hat, they can do bro country stuff and nail that too, because they think in a song mindset. And if you want to get work as a musician or even play cover gigs, play to the song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what keeps people engaged too.
Indeed.
But put your heart into it, obviously. And
Indeed.
That makes a big difference.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Very good stuff.
All right, so here's the deal, friends. We're going to get to some questions here. But first off, a couple things. Number one, please share this, because if you are one of those folks that likes to share, then do it because you love to share. And there's a prize in it if we choose you as a winner. So after the broadcast, we always search for folks that have shared this, and we award some lucky winner with a lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. It's like $400 value. We do this every live webcast now. So
I'm going to share as soon as I'm done.
Yeah, see, Brett's sharing right now. He's pulling out his phone.
Okay.
So, all right, and also, We're gonna do Q&A in just a minute, but Brett, you have a URL or something for the kids, right? Can you tell them a little bit about your product that you're
Yeah, there's a link that they're going to post on this. My website's brettpapa.com, so it's BRETTPAPA.com. And I concentrate more on like melodic rock playing. That's kind of my bag, you know. I'm love the, you know, classic rock and stuff like that. But my whole goal at my site now, especially, is to teach people how to improvise, you know, and how to do it melodically. And it's not as hard as people think, you know. And I have different levels of courses, like if you're just starting out, like level 1 or level 2. But same thing like you're saying with the looper, everything comes with jam tracks. It's all in a creation. I want people to create music. I don't want people just to copy people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The satisfaction as a player comes in to be able to create something out of nothing.
Right.
But there's very simple tools to learn how to do that.
Indeed.
And I 3 things, you know what I mean? It's like you gotta know, like what you're saying, the key, see the chords, and put a little feel into it.
Exactly.
You're gold.
Exactly.
Simplicity. That's what I shoot for on my site. So.
And Brett's an amazing teacher. So if you haven't checked out his stuff, tell him your YouTube channel as well.
The YouTube channel is Papa Stash. So it's PAPASTACHE 102.
102. Papa Stash 102. Nice. And Chris will post that link later, somewhere along the lines here. Okay. All right. Let's do this. What we're going to do is we're going to get to some questions, and this can be for either, obviously. So we've got Brett's ready to go with some questions. I'm gonna go to Facebook first, and then we're gonna pop over to YouTube. We're gonna pop over to YouTube.
I need to drink some more coffee to follow those things.
What's that, man?
Facebook's gone.
Oh, Facebook's gone. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Facebook. And Instagram, you're probably just hanging on by a thread. So head over to YouTube, all right? Where we're going to get to your questions right now, okay? And remember, folks, I'm just looking for stuff with a question mark because, all right? That's why. Because it's difficult to see all this, right?
Those things go by fast.
Who's teaching whom? Hello, I'm over here. Hi, Jerry. Oh, because we were talking to each other. We're having a little bromance here. You know, this is what happens when guitar players get together. And so hopefully, are we teaching us or them? Okay. Can you please draw some stick figures? Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry because we dropped out there for a minute, didn't we, right? Okay. And I'm going to go back here a little bit, all right? But I'll go back to the top. So let us have it with your questions right now because now is when we're doing the questions. Shaved foot cam. Yeah, it's trimmed. I do a little manscaping on the feet.
Cam.
Just on the feet, though. No, yeah. Okay. We won't get into that. What happens when you use a looper? Well, you start again. Yeah, okay.
That wasn't a bad joke. That was pretty
Okay,
good.
well, I think this is when we were down. The kids were telling jokes, which I appreciate. Okay, yeah, this is when we were down, so I apologize. It happens sometimes. All right, I'm going all the way to the top here because I don't see. Okay, here we got some questions, all right? All right, any relation to Tom Papa?
No, I was just wondering that myself the other day because there's not many Papas out there. Not that I know of. I could be, but not immediate.
Yo, Eric, were you two separated at birth? Two amazing teachers who look so alike. You know, when it was I don't know how long ago it was now, but Brett was teaching something, Hendrixy, and I really liked it, and I reached out to him, and I said, dude, I've always loved your stuff. You know, hit me up when you're in Nashville, and if you're ever in Nashville. And he's like, dude, I'm in Nashville, like, tomorrow, whatever. It was, like, really quickly, and he was here, and we just hit it off, and went and got some tacos, and then we went to Groon and just hung out and just had a blast. So ever since then, what was that? It's been a couple years now. We've been having a blast together.
Really? That's crazy.
So, okay, the looper on this pedal, on this board, don't worry about that. It's expensive. The whole system is, like, over $2,000. It's not... You don't want to buy it for the looper, okay? It just so happens to have a looper built into it. If you guys are looking for a great looper, TC Electronic Ditto is a great pedal.
The Boss
Ditto 2.
RC3.
What which do you have a looper right now?
One of them, yeah, I do the Boss one. One of the cool things about that is it has drums in it, and it also can save a lot of your loop ideas. So I think it can save like 100.
Oh, see, that's nice.
Patches or something like that. I had the TC2 and it works great. But if you want to be able to keep your stuff, and you can download them into your computer.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's pretty cool. I mean, they're $150, but you can get them on eBay for cheaper or whatever. But it's a killer pedal. Also, one of the coolest pedals of all time to jam with.
The Trio?
The Trio.
I've heard everybody.
Trio is ridiculous.
Okay, see, I need to get one.
Yeah.
I need to get one just because.
Because there's feels, and same thing you're doing here.
Yeah.
But then
and bass, right?
Yeah, and then it has a whole band. It's drums, bass, and then your chords.
And it works around you. It knows what you're doing.
Yeah, and you can do feels, change the feel up, and it's sick.
Okay.
That's Ford's thing of choice, and I would see him do it at trade shows and stuff. And I'm like, God, this is one of the coolest pedals I've ever seen.
Trio. I've heard about that, and I've watched some demos on it,
They're
and
incredible.
it looks pretty amazing. So, okay, good. So not all loopers are created, equally. So just understand that. The Ditto is very, very small. It's great if you don't have a lot of real estate on your board. I've got two of them on one of my boards. One going in the front, one's at the back, which is usually where you put a looper, is at the back, so that you're feeding it reverb and delay and everything else, so that you can hear all that instead of just a dry signal. But then I put one at the front in case I'm tweaking my amp or my pedals or whatever. I can play a lick, and then it'll sit there and rotate and loop, and then I can go and set all my settings, my amp and stuff like that, and I can really tweak down without having to concentrate on playing. So that's what I do there. So it's great for that, but you can see the Trio. It might be pretty cool. Okay, Brett, will you talk a bit about thinking in the song mindset again? Will you talk about thinking in the song mindset?
So
again?
playing for the song. A lot of times if you say, like you. I'm not going to come in and just, you know what I mean? That kind of a chord progression, you want. Yeah. It's really playing to what's appropriate for the feel, the style, and whatever, and those kind of progressions I really like too, because it really gives you a chance to start to play melodically. You know what I mean? And so if you're playing, we were jamming on Lagrange or whatever earlier. That's like you want rootsy, like if you're you want like really like aggressive. Yeah. So try to get in the mindset of the feel of what you're playing, and then try to don't be a one-trick pony in your own playing. Yeah. Try to learn how to morph into playing different styles and what's appropriate for songs.
Yeah, I think about it like two people discussing something. Yeah. And if one person who's if they're discussing a particular something, and then somebody just changes the subject, and is just pushing this new subject, and you're like, dude, we were having a great conversation here. That's kind of like, to me, what it would sound like if someone were either not playing in the feel of, or they're not playing in the key of, or the tempo of,
or if you're talking like in this voice, and then you're asking me questions, and I'm coming back, rah! It's like,
exactly.
Whoa,
it's not appropriate.
It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. Good stuff. So really, just think very simply. Yeah. I think what a lot of times is people they overthink, and they're trying to compensate with speed. And that's always a bad combo, because it's just not going to sound good. Because if you're not playing appropriately, then playing fast inappropriately is even going to be worse, right? Because then you're just playing more
Totally.
crap notes. Just
Right.
just go for a couple notes that sound good, okay?
You know, it's an interesting thing my buddy Ford was telling me too is don't always feel like you have to come in on the one.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, let the chord happen.
Someone mentioned that the other day.
Yeah, and it's almost like just be patient. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so if you're playing a G, I don't have to come
Yeah,
right in.
right.
It almost is easier to play if if it's say over a couple of beats or whatever. If you come in on the second beat or
Yeah.
something like that, and vary that. You know what I mean? And you'd be shocked at how much feel. One of our players that Ford and I both like is Neil Sean, and he does that all the time. Like he comes in on a different spot. And so
Yeah.
those are all things that you can do to play to the song better.
Yeah, and
And listen to your other bandmates.
yeah, indeed. But going along with what Brett's talking about there, have you ever met one of those people that just incessantly talk, but they don't really say much?
Yeah.
I have a family member who's like this, who I love very much, where they incessantly talk, and you're like, it's okay to just like leave some space and let us just like be real. And then there are those people that if you've ever heard them speak, they speak very rarely, but when they do, they come out with a gem that just like takes your head off. And you could think about playing that same way. You don't have to say a lot. Well, you don't have to play a lot to say a lot.
Oh,
But you could be playing all over the place and not really saying anything, right?
Yeah.
So I use a lot of analogies all
you
the
need
time.
that hanging right up here. You don't have to
what
play
was
a
it?
lot to say a
You don't
lot.
have to play a lot to say a lot.
You gotta archive that. That's a good.
It's a good one.
Uh-huh.
It's a good one. Okay, so that was great. When you write, do you start with a melody or lyric? Do you want to take that one? Do you write?
I
write
do.
songs?
You know what helps me write is a drum loop. That's how I typically write almost everything I do. Is for those of you who use GarageBand or Logic, comes with an amazing built-in drum program, and I'll just go in and pick an R&B drummer and pick a different feel and see what comes out. And that's typically how I start. Or I'll take a common chord progression and pull up a loop and then lay down a basic patch like what I was just doing. Something like that, and then go in and work with it and tweak with it.
Yeah.
And see what happens. But
Love
that's usually my process because I don't sing particularly well, and I don't play with many singers right now.
Right.
That are original.
But still, it's all songwriting. I mean,
Yeah.
melody and rhythm and harmony and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. I've mentioned this before that, like in Nashville, I write a particular way. Mine is usually based on music first, just because I'm such a music guy. So, like, if there were no lyrics, I would be fine. My lyricist wife,
how does she do it?
That drives her nuts.
So she starts with the melody and
Well,
words, or?
so she, like a lot of Nashville folks, which, by the way, she had a song play on Seth Meyers last night. If you guys watched that, the new Lady Antebellum, they cut her song, so hopefully that's going to be the next single.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Hurt. We were very
she's
excited.
got some songs to her credit though.
Yeah,
she's
she's
awesome.
amazing. So the way she writes and the way that a lot of Nashville writers write is they come up with a hook or an idea, and then they say, hey, here's this idea, and then there's typically an angle on it. Like, for instance, Guy Walks Into a Bar was one of the songs she
Wants
wrote.
a beer.
What's that? Was that?
Wants a beer.
Yeah. And so you say, well, like that joke. Okay, so a guy walks into a bar and blah, 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 right? Well, that can't just be the idea. It has to be, well, what about that? It's like everybody knows that phrase, and then, well, what about it? Okay, well, what happens if we write it as if the guy walks into a bar and he meets a girl and they have a beautiful love affair, and then they break up, and then the guy walks into a bar and then he catches a girl's eye, and then you go, oh, that's perfect, there's the song.
Yeah.
And so they sit down and someone sits with a guitar and they come up with something, well, this kind of feel, and again, chances are it's not going to be it's not going to be boom 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 boom.
Guy walks into a
It's going to be more like the music's going to fit with the sentiment, and
Right.
that sentiment for the song is it's not sad, but it's more serious, and so that's the way the music goes. And then they come up with the lyrics, and typically someone's working on some sort of melody, and then they're meshing it all together at the same time. But that's the way a lot of Nashville folks do it, because
Well,
they're very
and-
song-oriented. They're
Yeah.
looking for singles.
And also, if you have a friend that is creative too, getting together with people is such a help, because you can start to play off of each other too, and that really
Indeed.
helps with the process.
Indeed. Slayer or Lamb of God? Discuss.
Oh,
Were you into either of those? You were into Slayer, right?
One of my bandmates was super Slayer man, and I've heard Lamb of God. I don't particularly like people screaming at me, but I will say this with those bands in particular, their guitar player's rhythm technique is
insanity.
ridiculous.
It's
Like I
insanity,
can I can appreciate a part of any kind of music pretty much, and if I had to say one thing of that kind of music, their rhythm guitar playing is insane.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, we mentioned the type of looper pedals, right? We mentioned that. Can you guys do some call and response questions, answer type jam in A minor pentatonic? Yeah, we may do that at the end again, Ron, but we did that for sure in the beginning. God paradox, omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. It's a good question. The God paradox. Will you stand on that one? You want to answer that one?
Wow.
That's heavy. Thrash metal's getting heavy today.
No, thrash metal's good.
I've just bought a Zoom. We'll come back to that one if it hits you. Just bought a Zoom GFN with expression pedals. Have you guys ever used one? How do you rate them?
I don't know, but everybody's coming up with fairly decent stuff these days. Like with the ability to put so much processing power into a pedal.
Yeah.
It's tough to go wrong these days.
Yep. The audio that you're hearing right now is through a Zoom product. It's the Zoom F8. So it's an 8-channel mixer. So Zoom makes some great stuff.
Yeah. And a Zoom or, and Nashville's a perfect example. It doesn't have to be expensive to be good. If you look on every session guy's board, there is a M9, which you could probably get for $200.
Exactly, yeah.
And those things are, I'm not a fan of the distortion so much.
Yeah,
the
me
new
neither.
one, the HX, is ridiculous.
The Helix?
Yeah, it's like the mini new M9. Yeah, maybe it's a
Oh,
Helix, but
really?
it's like the HX series.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it has all the M9 in it.
Right.
But then they've upgraded, so the distortions
Okay.
actually sound good. The
Okay.
Univibe sounds good.
Oh, beautiful.
An all-in-one go-to, it's
Yeah.
pretty sick. They're pricey, but I think they're like maybe $6, and you probably get them for like.
Hold on, the new one.
The
new
M9
one.
you can probably get used
$120.
Yeah,
$100, yeah.
Yeah, $200.
And anybody who's looking to get an all-in-one pedal, or you don't know anything about effects,
Yeah.
run to the music store right now and get a Line 6 M9.
They're ridiculous.
Because
or the 5, right? It's just the 1.
that's what I have.
Yeah.
M5.
Yeah.
The M5 is what
Yeah.
that's like $100.
Yeah.
That's what I have. The M9's a step up just in the amount of pedals, but it does the same bit.
But,
the M13 again.
It has a looper in it.
Which one?
The 9.
The 9. Okay.
Yeah, so you could do your loop thing with it.
Exactly. Yeah. M9 is great. That whole series, and basically what it is, it has multiple effects in one thing, and so you can learn all about effects doing this.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day, I went and bought a Line 6 pedal board and a Line 6 guitar because it had like 25 different guitars for
that's
modeling.
right.
And I
I forgot
did
about
that because when I moved to Nashville, because I'm like, well, I don't have the money to own all these guitars and effects, so what can I do? And I got that, and it was just, I was sat there all day, all night, just sitting there working with all these different effects. So much fun.
Because that's part of it too. You gotta know some tones.
Yeah. Okay, Brett.
Yes.
I've explained this a million times, so it would be great. John Monahan is asking, can you give us a quick explanation of the cage system? Just a quick one. Mm-hmm. Overall, and because they've heard it from me, but it might be nice to hear it from a different perspective.
So
and a different voice.
All the cage system is it's a way to see one chord all over the neck. And to do that, they use open position chords, such as C, A, G, E, D. The only thing that you have to get used to in the cage system is, that C chord isn't going to be in one spot. Those shapes are going to occur in that order: C, A, G, E, D, all up and down the neck. And the one thing that helps me to wrap it around my brain is if you did this. Right, and in the cage system, you gotta, since they're open position chords, you gotta remember that technically there would be something there as you go up the neck.
I always say free the first finger, let your other fingers play the chord because you're always gonna have to bar.
Yeah, an open position chord has open strings, so as you move up the neck, you're gonna essentially have to have a capo finger.
Yes.
Right, and so it's just a very easy way to see this C chord all over the neck. So you got C, right, and then A, And then, and you're going to be looking for where the root note is, right? And like same with the C, right? The root's on the A string, the G, it's on the, you know what I mean? So you just think about what that open position chord looks like when you're, going through the cage system. So C, A. Some of them are kind of tough to play, like this G shape.
Yeah, I would say that I would never play that, but at the same time, you know the shape.
Right, but I'll tell you where that comes in. If you like playing Hendrix stuff,
yeah,
right, over that C chord, this G shape is magic. You're playing right out of that G shape, right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Also, I love the G shape for soloing. Right, so if you're playing right over that C chord, play C chord, yeah, like the C chord, so you got. Right, so the cage system, what's great about that is, like, so here's the C, right? And you got the G. Well, if you know the key that you're playing in, which is C major, which is. Right, then it's like, oh, that G's right there.
Yep.
And that actually. Because people, when they make the switch from major to minor, they try to play their minor licks,
right,
in major.
Yeah.
And this position,
the resolution doesn't work.
Position solves that problem. So when you're starting to play major,
right,
put the G shape over the first pentatonic shape. Those are the notes you want to resolve to right there. Yeah. So if you play a C chord,
like the sixth string, first string, and.
Right, so you got
string there, right?
And you can do, right, if you want to do a rock and roll G.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you play a C chord, and I think of this, right, play it again. Now I have an E shape right here, which is inside position 2. Right, so if I think about this, right? So you play C again. So I got. I go up to the E shape. So the cage system. That's what the cage system does. It lets you see those notes. And the cool thing about it is you're already familiar with these open position shapes. So to learn the cage system's really easy because it's already automatically familiar to you. Once you play it like, twice to get through it, the light bulb is just going to go bam. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
But then you're going to be able to do that, because it applies no matter what chord it is. Say it's a D chord, right? Same thing. Now we start with a D note and do the exact same thing. But where it really comes into play is when you're soloing and you can see each of those caged chord, each of the chords in your progression is going to have one of those caged shapes within a 4-fret radius.
Yeah.
So, like we said, like.
Okay, so let's give them an example.
Okay, so let's do this. The G.
Yeah.
E minor.
C, D.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to think position 4 again. So there's my G. So I'm just position 4 in G major pentatonic. Okay, so here's my 1. Okay, the next chord's E minor. All right.
And he's thinking. You're probably thinking your tonic right here, right? So you got that little.
Right. I'm just looking at the shapes. So when I do the cage system, my favorite shapes to use right off the bat are the A, E, and the D shapes. Get those first because those are the most commonly used. Yes. But anyway, so G, so we got G, and then E minor. Right, here's my E chord. Right? And then I have a D. And then C. The C's right here. I had D right here. Back to my G.
Yeah, beautiful.
You know what I mean? And it's like the melody's there. So if you go through the chord, just go through the chord progression. Right? I mean, how easy?
Yeah.
I mean, so between a guitar player saying, "Here's a scale and some chords solo,"
Yeah.
between somebody saying, "Hey, check out this cage system.
Yeah.
Here's your chords. Take one pentatonic position.
Yeah.
Find those chord shapes in that
Yeah.
spot." It's
Night and day.
day.
Yeah, night and day difference.
Yeah.
It shows you exactly where the notes that are going to sound best.
Well, and if you're already, say you're already a fairly decent player, like maybe you're an intermediate player and you just don't know, you still, like me, I could play anything I wanted to for the most part, but I still couldn't solo how I wanted to. So
What he means by that, you mean by calisthenically or
yeah, like
technically,
melodically,
you can
right?
like copy another player.
I would
right.
do what we were talking about before. I would just over
Me
the
too,
top,
yeah.
you know? And so as soon as I saw that, it opened my eyes to, oh, wow, this is how you play melodically. But then the licks that I knew and had memorized, then you know
Now it makes
when
sense.
to use them
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
to use them in an effective way
Yeah.
to really go with what you're playing. you
Yeah.
know? So
Yeah.
that's where it all
I find it
comes together.
fascinating. Any guitar player that I talk to, everybody looks at things differently. There's similarities, but everybody has a different brain that's thinking about things differently. So that's great news because everybody's unique. That means each
Yeah.
one of you is unique and can literally bring something new to the table that's never been done before.
Yeah,
Some
for sure.
combination of bits and pieces. So
It's all your own recipes.
yeah, it is. It is. Do you let your viewers send you clips of them playing so you can so that you can point out mistakes that they make? I mean, I've had players do that before. Brett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I have. I've done that before.
Yeah. Okay. Trio. We talked about the trio, indeed. And remember, I'm just looking for question marks here, my friend. How about dubbing over a looper pedal? So this is something as well that you could do.
Yeah,
if
like
you,
stacking stuff on top of each other.
Yeah, and this is again, it's where the cage system comes in. So like if we have, let's see here. Let's try this. If we have, so we got that F and an E major. So you could literally come up here, F, oh sorry, G, E major. And that's how a lot of players will think in the studios. They'll be like, okay, we got this section
Yeah.
down here, and if we want this, you almost want to think about like an orchestra. You've got the double basses, right? And you've got the piccolo.
Oh, I thought you meant
flutes
double bass
and
like
everything.
Slayer.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? In the orchestra. That's what an orchestra needs is some,
Exactly.
yeah, little snappy kick
Some
drums
double bass
there.
triplets.
Should beginners learn how to read music, or is tab okay? Well, we'll give you both our opinions. Brett.
I'll just give you the straight up. I work with a lot of pros, and maybe two of them can read music.
Yeah, we had this discussion the other day. I think Jerry got a little mad at me about this, Jerry. But I love you, and my point in saying, and I feel the same way, is that I don't have a need for reading music unless I'm playing classical, and
Yep.
then when I do, it's
Yep,
very slow
absolutely.
and tedious because I don't do it very often. But you can get by. You can learn so much by just looking at patterns and understanding how. It's kind of like this. You can be a great orator. You can create wonderful speeches or beautiful songs, but not know how to read. You could.
Yeah.
If you know how to speak,
No,
you know
that's
what I mean?
been
My
done.
kid does not know how to read,
Yeah.
but he can speak all day long.
Yeah.
Okay? So, in
Yeah.
the same way, that's how us guitar players get by a lot of times. And reading music is great, but what are you going to do with it? You're going to be reading somebody else's stuff, playing somebody else's stuff exactly the way they want it. It's not going to make you a better player, per se. It's going to get you better at reading music, which is great. It's also quite tedious.
And I would say if you're going to learn to read music, do it on the piano. But it does develop. If just as a general life enhancement, reading music does. Learning how to do it. It's similar to learning a new language. It's very good for
good for
you
the brain,
to
yeah.
do it.
Yep.
So, and it's not going to ever hurt you. If you walked into a
Indeed.
session and a guy's like, bam, and laid down a notation chart, well,
You're
guy
the
that
guy.
can read, you're the guy.
You're the guy that day.
So don't limit yourself in any way. But if we're just talking about being able to get up and play and maybe get a gig or a bar gig or whatever, it's totally not necessary.
You know, another thing that I really like about reading music is that it slows you down and it makes you really appreciate music as like when I was just a kid, when I was very slow in it. Now I want to learn so quickly with a song that what it does is it slows you down, and a lot of times your fingers may not be able to move as quickly as your brain can about a particular subject. So you can learn the cage system and go, oh, okay, that makes all the sense in the world, and then you're trying to manhandle these chords and it's just not happening. So in that way, I think music is very helpful in that it slows you down and it makes you really take every moment in. That's what it does for me. But I don't do it very often, just because I don't read classical very often. Okay, can you discuss where jam tracks can be downloaded cheapest? Ruben, well, Brett has them in his course. I've got them in my course. I've got a few jam tracks that are on YouTube. You probably have the same. If not,
I do.
You can
The last few videos I put up, you get a free jam track.
There you go. So just search Papa Stash Jam Track or YourGuitarSage Jam Track or just Jam Tracks on YouTube. If you're inside Unstoppable, we've got to date we have about 600, and we're working.
Whoa!
I know we're
Holy
doing a lot.
smokes! I'm signing up.
And
Those are good too, man. You played
Thanks,
a
man.
bunch, and they sound great.
and I've got Chris manning the ship on that. So we're getting more some jazz ones out there. And
I need Chris's number.
When playing a minor pentatonic, is the relative major always 3 frets back, or is it 4 sometimes? So if you're talking about the shapes, if you're playing a minor pentatonic shape, if you want to play the relative major, it's 3 frets up. If you're playing major pentatonic, then the related minor is 3 half steps backwards. So if we were playing in the key of A minor, I gotta get rid of that.
It's so dreamy and peaceful.
I'm not Coldplay. I love Coldplay, but I'm not. Okay, so for instance, we're playing A minor, right? We got, well, that's the blues scale, but nonetheless. And if we were playing in the key of C, it'd be the same thing. In C major. So it's the same exact form. 3 half steps lower will be the minor pentatonic. Here's the deal. And I didn't mention this. I created a huge PDF for you guys that's going to cover a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today. It's got the major scale in there, pentatonic, the blues scale, all the different forms, how to think about it. You must download that in order to take the things that we're saying today and actualize them on the guitar neck with the maps and everything else. In order to do that, just look in the description of the video. You're going to see that PDF. Click on it. There's no sign up or anything. You just click on it and it downloads for you. Okay. And also you can have access to the courses in there, the free course and the dollar course. All right. So great questions here today. What's a good drum looper program? I think you can probably address that one. I think you did already.
There's the one, if you have an Apple computer, inside GarageBand or Logic is the best drum tool of all time. But if you want to get into loops and programming, there's a company called Loop Loft that has a lot of great drum loops. And then if you want to have loops and be able to also design your own, Easy Drummer and Superior Drummer are 2 fantastic drum programs that also they come with and they have packs that you can buy, like say like Modern Country. There's a Modern Country drum pack that has loops, and then you can also manipulate the loops. So it's a perfect songwriting tool.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, who is she? I don't know if you're talking about, well, that's probably about the time we were talking about my wife writing a song. Her name is Melissa Pierce. It's P-E-I-R-C-E.
Sweet as pie.
Yeah, you can find her online at The Real Melly P. The Real Melly P. M-E-L-L-Y-P.
Sounds like a rapper.
Yeah.
It's The Real Melly P.
A guy walks
dog.
into a bar with this monkey. Exactly. Exactly. All right.
That's a loaded statement.
It could get weird. Brett, do you look for triads on the 3 bottom strings mostly?
That's where, if you're going to do what we've been talking about with the cage system, that I would start there, for sure. It's the easiest to think about. Like when we were doing the G chord and the E minor, like I would G, E minor.
Mm-hmm. Because that's where you're going to be soloing a lot, right?
9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Now, once you start getting into double stops and sixths and stuff like that, you know, then it's good to explore that further. That's why I started branching out more into like the G shape and the real C shape, because it really helps you to start to get that middle area.
Yeah.
But when you're just starting out, especially when you're learning the cage system and how it works with the pentatonic scale, the bottom 3 strings are gold.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Tough to beat. Yeah.
Just out of kicks and giggles, do you have 3 favorite blues positions or 3 favorite places on the neck that you play when you're talking about blues?
1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. Me too.
Those are
See, I just had a video that just went up.
Yep.
Talked about the three places you should think of first when it comes to blues.
Right.
And specifically, what on 1, what on 2, and what on 4. Can you show?
1 is the cool.
This is in the PDF, by the way.
All those cool licks. You got. That's the C
Any famous guitar solos written from that little section there?
Just a couple. Second one, full Stevie Ray. I mean, Stevie Ray made a living out of position 2.
Yeah. And some people call that the BB box.
Yeah. And then position 4. You get all those kind of licks. Now that being said, my 2 favorite transition positions are 3 and 5. So you can, if you're in 4, so I'm sliding up to position 5, or position 5 is ZZ Top. Yeah. Right, it's that. Position 3 has this. You're gonna see that climb all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are my favorite right now. Although in the last course that I did, I like, because I get my own patterns.
Yeah.
And so I started like, it's weird the light bulbs that go off when you start just changing how you, like the different licks that you can start to make. So those were my 3 at the time. 1, 2, and 4. 90% of the solos you ever hear are going to be there.
Yep.
Then learn the transition from one position to another with 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Those are great.
And then you just make up your own as you're going
make up your
along.
own.
Yeah. All right. Great stuff. Since you guys have an HSS Strat and a single coil, can you show the difference in sound between the bottom pickup only? I think they mean the humbucker there, which is what you've been playing on the whole time, right? Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's that nice, hearty sound.
Now mine is a really low output humbucker too, so it's almost more single coil without the hum. But I prefer low output pickups. Well, you gotta play yours now so they hear it.
Well, I mean, these are all single coil, right? So these are.
But the difference between them.
So these are single coil. So right. So this would be, same position as Brett there, but single coil, right? I don't know. I'm learning how to hold a pick. So it's kind of brash.
A lot of bite.
We've got a lot of bite to it. I don't use that one very often. That to me is just like a classic Strat sound. So I'm 90% of the time I'm in 4th position there.
If we're gonna talk pickups too, and you don't have the money to upgrade to a different guitar, pickups make the most humongous difference ever.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite brand? What's your?
Man, so I'm actually having a guitar built right now, and I'm gonna have a Jeff Beck right here.
Like Duncan.
A
right?
Duncan, yeah, Seymour Duncan, Jeff Beck, which is a humbucker pickup, and then I'm gonna have a standard Strat pickup. It's either gonna be a Tex-Mex like in here, or just some single coil, and then I'm gonna have a P90.
Oh, come on.
Come on, so I can get all the sounds out, because that's where the P90 should be anyhow, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
is it a Strat format guitar?
It's gonna be Strat based, yeah.
So a real humbucker or stacked humbucker?
It's gonna be real humbucker.
Wow.
Real humbucker single coil
Look
P90.
at you.
I
You're
know.
the
I want it all.
master.
I might put a fourth pickup in there.
I just
I
go
don't
on
know, get
Frampton.
crazy. Put it somewhere in the neck. I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. That's amazing.
All right, you can't do that. You can't put it on the neck. It's a joke. Mikkel is saying, slightly off subject. Okay, so you won a prize last week, and you're asking about the email address. Mikkel, you can send any emails, any correspondence to support@YourGuitarSage.com. But Mikkel, we would reach out to you on your social media. So usually we reach out to you. So you'll want to respond there so that we know that it's you and not somebody else claiming your prize, if that makes sense. Okay. What about partial chord shapes? What about them? So you use this all the time. I use it all the time. You know, when I'm looking at a chord, if I see A major here, well, if I'm soloing, I might take that. So I might, if it's in, you know, blue, we're playing A blues, and I've got an A7 chord, and I've got that major note there, and I can see that form right there, and I've got my blues scale, I might throw that note in there, but I'm always thinking of some portion of a chord,
Yeah.
like we were saying, so.
Yeah, and if you're in a band, you got a bass player, so they cover the low.
Exactly.
Yeah, so get that middle and high stuff.
Someone's asking what year that Strat is, sir.
It's not a real Strat.
It's a Frankenstrat.
Yeah, it's a Bill Nash, which I
Nice.
just freaking love.
Yeah.
They're so good. But my old boss worked at Fender, and he's like, dude, I can't stand the look of a bare headstock, so he put a Fender sticker on it. It's about 10 years old, maybe 11 years old.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a 60s Strat.
I love it. Which is what this is supposed to be, like a 62-ish.
Yeah.
62-ish.
Good run for Strats.
Boy, these are moving really, really quickly. What are your favorite blues songs to play? I'll leave that to you. They can ask me questions anytime. Brett,
You
do
know,
you have any
honestly,
specials?
I am not.
You're more like country
I don't
bluesy
play
rock.
a lot of blues. If I had to pick one blues person, Hendrix is my go-to. So maybe like a Red House or something in that vein. I just really like it. I listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan too, but Hendrix to me is my go-to blues cat.
Yeah.
In style.
We talked about that, Mark Mankey. That's love that. Okay. Which, by the way, you know, is my. Well, we'll talk about that later. Mark and I have talked before. Do you guys use a computer program? So we talked about that. We use computer programs. There's. I actually use a program called DJ2.
Really?
Yeah, dude,
What's
I have
up
to
with that?
show you this
Okay,
program.
cool.
I feel like I've done a video on it before, but you guys got to run and go get DJ2. Get it for your iPad. It's, I forgot, like $5 or $15, but basically you can take any classic song and you can loop different sections of it. This is going to blow your mind when I show it to you. You can loop different sections of it. So if, say, it's a jam part at the end of a song and it's Zeppelin, then you can jam that 4 or 8 bar progression seamlessly, and it'll just sit there and loop.
That's
You
cool.
can change the key and all sorts of stuff. It's amazing.
So a computer program to create jam tracks, is that what you're talking about?
I think he's saying, yeah, and I think you addressed that. right?
Yeah, I have a Mac, so I just use Logic and GarageBand.
Beautiful.
They're kind of all in one. Like they got amps and everything you'd need.
Yeah,
Have you messed with the Positive Grid stuff?
I have. Yeah, they actually wanted me.
Their amp stuff
is amazing.
Shit.
Yeah, that on the iPad. I mean, it's like
it's so good.
It sounds
like if you're gonna go to
amazing.
and you have to be in a hotel and you can take your guitar but nothing else. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's the most expensive
Yeah.
application I've ever seen on the iPad. It's like $120 or $200 or something.
It's so good.
But
though,
it
man.
sounds really, really good. Okay, so someone's asking about the cage system and how to apply it. So I think we've talked a lot about that. Anything else that you want to add in regards to that?
Nope. Like I said, I mean, if you're gonna do it, just take the pentatonic scale if you already know it, and then try to find the chords of like a 1, 4, 5 in each shape. You know, so like the 1 chord is right there, obviously, and that is the shape, right? And then you would have. right? That's in that position too.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next chord is here, but the notes that are applicable, right, is you can definitely, or you have, right? So it gives you options. So, and then you, right? So I hit the third and the root, right? And then, right? So I hit root, third, and then. So you just
resolving those phrases, always coming back. Not always coming back,
because
but many times coming back to the one.
Well, right, and there's only 3 notes in these in the caged chords, right? It's a root, third, and a fifth. So you only have to learn 3 potentials. You know what I mean? And so, in my playing, that is the single biggest help I've ever learned. Like when I saw a video on it, I was like, I just blew my mind.
Yeah.
And like I said in the beginning, that of all my videos I've ever created, anytime I show and break that down, that's everyone's number one thing. Oh my God. Like, I cannot believe. Where was this my whole life?
I know, right?
I mean? It should be the first thing people learn.
Why didn't our guitar teachers teach us?
Yeah.
Did you have a guitar teacher growing up?
I did for like 2 years, but that just wasn't around.
I guess
wasn't
not,
a thing.
right?
I
think hadn't invented the cage system.
No,
surely that was around, right?
I've seen it come. I started noticing it about 8 years ago.
I did too, on YouTube. But then again...
Well, I had a guy, do you know Guthrie Govan?
Yes.
That just ripping, like, most amazing technical ripping shredder you'll ever see in your life. And I'm like, dude, but he can play anything.
Yeah.
Over any progression, any style. And I told him, I'm like, what is the secret? And he looked at me and goes, the cage system.
Yeah.
Just go home and learn it. Go home and look it up. And I was like, I went home and I was just like...
I saw enough of it on YouTube popping up as whatever, as suggested, and I'm like, what is this? I'm a guitar teacher, I should know this.
Yeah.
And then I watched the video and I'm like, well, I do know that.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know what's called the cage system.
Yeah.
And actually knowing it as the cage system, C-A-G-E-D, like knowing the chords as they move up is very helpful because then you know the order now. Before I was just like, I just knew where I could find the chords.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So.
Well, and I'd seen like my buddy Tim, he's a session guy, Tim Pierce, he can show you an A chord all over the neck, but he takes two pieces at a time. So it never like dawned on me like what the actual shape would be. And as soon as somebody made it in dumb open position shapes, it's like, are you serious?
Yes.
It's that easy. Like,
yeah. Love it.
Lovely.
Celeste is saying, how can I improve my rhythm and timing? I sometimes use a metronome when I practice, but it doesn't seem to be happening. Any advice?
I would practice the drum loops because a metronome is only 1, 2, 3, 4, where drums will have subdivisions. So if you're trying to do, in the beginning, you're trying to do 8th notes, right? Getting that in-between note is really tough. But if you find a drum beat that's like, has that, right? Just the kick on the, the kick and snare going back and forth like that, but it has a hi-hat going, then that's that in-between note. Or buy a metronome that can subdivide, right? That has 8th notes, triplets, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can get just ridiculous ones on your phone now. But
indeed.
Rhythm-wise, I would do that and just practice on one note. You know what I mean? Don't try to strum and do all that stuff right off the bat. Just get that 8th note. And then what you can also do when you want to start strumming is again take it to 8th notes. You know what I mean? So the 1, 2, 3, 4 would be downstrokes, and the ands would be up. So it's like 1 and 2. You know, like I can't talk and play at the same time, but like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then I'll just develop a pattern that say like I'm gonna play 1, 2, 3, and 4 and right. So I'll concentrate on the 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and just get like a sheet. And I actually put a sheet out where I had 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then I would just pick 2 patterns,
right,
and go back and forth, and then make 2 different patterns, and then just play that 8th note metronome, and that will super improve your rhythm playing.
And so it's very important, like what Brett's talked about here is to have, when you're just starting off using the metronome, is you want it to be, you can play at the same speed, but you can have it click twice as fast. So if it's like click, 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 and you're going boom, 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 you can do that click, 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 or you can have it go click, 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 boom, 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 boom. You know, you got it happening twice as fast.
Yeah.
You're doing that because there's less of a chance of you falling off of the metronome.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, like the way I teach it in Unstoppable is that I'll teach you playing where you've got a lot of repetitions of that metronome, but then I teach you how to start taking it out, because the more space that you have in between then the more you're going to have to rely on your internal clock.
Yeah,
but you
for
can't
sure.
do that in the beginning.
No.
At first you're just like, and it's very frustrating. So, and it is for everybody at first.
Well,
Okay?
even in the session I was playing in last night, I mean, the drummer is a A-list Nashville session guy, but he even in his click, it wasn't click, click,
No.
click. It was da 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 da, and you know, so he can like it's just so much
Yeah.
easier to break the subdivision down in anything other than 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's like it's easier to find where you should be.
Yes, indeed. Brett, any relatives in upstate New York?
My mom's half, which isn't the papa side, but Syracuse.
Nice.
If that's upstate, I don't know what that is in
Okay.
New York.
Yeah, no, that's upper state,
And
I
then
believe.
my dad's side, the papa side, is I think they kind of landed in Indiana. And
Okay.
now we're all over the place, but
Okay. So, Brian is asking, how does the cage chord system and the cage scale system relate to each other? And Brett had talked about this a little bit, but basically, when I first taught the cage system, I taught it according to the chords because it was such an aha moment, right? And then you start seeing the scales fall underneath these two, and some of them are more apparent than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, for me, I mean, I teach it in my program like that, but I did it a little bit reluctantly, only because for chords it's very obvious. All 5 chords make sense and you can see them and it's clear as day. But with the scales, unless you're really acquainted with the pentatonic scales, you're probably not going to see those patterns as much. But Brett just showed you, if you're holding this, if you're doing something in the key of A minor or C major, right? And you have this bass note, which is a C, and you're playing the G form of that C chord. Okay, well then you can see it right there. It just falls right underneath that pattern.
Yep.
And so if this doesn't make sense to you, Brian, check out the PDF that I've provided for you today that's in the description of the video, and you'll see Form 1, you'll see that
how the
G form hidden in there, or you'll find the A minor form hidden in there. Okay.
I do that in the courses too. That I put the charts because it's some people are so visual like that. You know what I mean? It's like you put the pentatonic position 1, and say all the dots are red, and then you put the blue dots where the chords are. I mean, it's like, oh my god.
There it is. Exactly.
And just remember, once you know the cage system, if you're in A minor and you're at an E shape, position 2, think about the word cage position. And the reason the pentatonic and cage is so perfect is because there's 5 in each, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the E shape, the next position, which is position 2, will have the D shape.
Yeah.
Right? There's that same.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my god, that like makes sense now.
And here's a mind blower, and this happens. That sounded dirty, but it's not. This is going to blow your mind. So here's the deal, and I do this all the time when I'm talking to other guitar players. They'll say something, or I'll say something, and I'm like, dear God, how did I miss that for 30 years or whatever? So and I actually did a video series of this a few years ago because it dawned on me that, and I think I've mentioned this to you, Brett, that if you take the natural occurring chords that appear in minor and major music, 99.999% of all the music you're listening to, what you'll find is the chords go like this. There's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Anybody working with number charts last night, Brett, in your session?
They were. I don't know how to use them.
Okay, everybody was, right? Okay, so the number system is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So you're just playing the major scale and you're counting a number for each note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's it. It doesn't matter what key you're in. If you're in the key of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. It's the same every time. But here's the deal. The chords that are represented by each one of those numbers, 1 through 7, are major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, okay? Now, still seems like a lot there. Really, we use 1, 4, 5, and minor 6 90% of the time, okay? But what I've found is something that's a really simple trick is anytime you're holding any form, okay? So for instance, you're holding this G form here, right? If it's a major chord, you can always go down 3 half steps and there's going to be a minor chord every single time according to the major scale. Because if you think about it, you have a major 1. If you go back 3 half steps, you have a minor 6.
So that's the relative minor.
That's the relative related minor, major minor, except it works with all major minor chords.
Oh, interesting.
So if you go to the 5 chord, if you go back 3 half steps, you have a minor 3. If you're on a 4 chord, you go back 3 half steps, you have a minor 2. And same thing. So anytime you have a minor chord, you also have that same form. So you immediately have all these little notes that appear underneath your fingers.
So break that down one more time.
Okay, so like pick any minor chord. Play any minor chord.
D minor.
Okay, so now there's go up 3 half steps, and so that's going to be another note that you can use, and then you've got your. So you've got new notes to use for your soloing at any point. And that works with any minor chord, any major chord. So any major chord you're on, you go 3 half steps down, you've got a minor related chord. I call them sister chords.
Right.
And it works for not just major minor like in the key.
Yeah.
But any major chord, any minor chord.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So like I've been playing for forever, and number one, no one ever showed that to me. But as I was sitting there noodling, I'm like, how in heaven's name did I miss this? How did someone not teach this to me? And it's a big deal because, like, you have all these.
Yeah.
What's that?
Nice, dude. A little Mr. Crowley.
Right. And he goes, what is he?
Yeah.
So you got, you're talking about that same little lick right here, right? So there's stuff that is yet to be found here.
That's a great point. The relationship between those two, because this one particular thing blew my mind when it came to learning how to solo in minor and major.
Yes,
is taking that right. Right.
Yep.
So
he just did the same thing. He's playing F sharp minor, and he's going 3 half steps up.
But the cool thing about that is they both use the same scale.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right? So if you play those chords, you learn to. So you can use that one chord progression to learn how to resolve in minor pentatonic and in major, right? In this instance, over the F sharp chord, you're thinking the cage system of this E shape.
Right.
But
same form, both times.
Same exact scale. In the major, this is where that G shape comes in.
And just what Brett's talking about there, that would be if you have a looper pedal, that'd be a fantastic chord progression to work with that's going to give you so much information. Now, if you go, okay, but what you're playing there, I can't think that fast. Okay, but you can slow it down, so you could just go.
Yeah. And you go like this.
Or you didn't even have to play it slow. You could go. Yeah, right? If you're fancy pants like this guy, then you can do that. Otherwise, you just play real simple stuff like me.
It's such a fun chord progression to play over, though, because it's like, I don't know, you hear it in music, but it's the ultimate progression to learn how to solo in the same spot using the same exact frets and notes to resolve in major and resolve in minor.
Yeah, and folks say it to me all the time. Most folks will say, "Hey, I'm really good at using the minor. That was my crutch, was using minor." There's always going to be weak spots in your playing, always, always, always.
Yeah.
And for me, it was playing more major pentatonic. Some
Yeah.
folks, every now and then I'll see someone like, I can do great with major pentatonic, but minor pentatonic
Yeah, that's
I can't.
rare.
So this chord progression will help you
Yeah,
do that.
for sure.
Okay, indeed. All right, cool stuff, man. We're stumbling on some really good stuff.
Gold, just to feel the diamonds.
Gold. It's there. It's all there. You just got to sit there and think about this stuff enough, you know? All right. I would say we would get to some questions on Facebook, but we won't do that because there's no Facebook. All right. Any other questions? We're gonna go for a few minutes. You got 15 more minutes?
Yeah. Let's do
okay.
it.
Let's do 15 more minutes. That's what we're gonna do. Any other bits that you're thinking of? Any new bits that you're thinking of, or that you're coming across when you're soloing now? Because what happens as players, we mature, just like in our lives in different ways. You'll stumble across something and go, well, I need to think about that more. Like I literally was laying in bed the other night, and this is not like some Holy Spirit moment or something in regards. It could be, but like I was like, well, if I just literally, and I have a video for this, but if I just literally get used to when I'm playing the blues, okay, I think there's for all three of those chords, if you're playing like straight up A7, D7, E7, okay, like we did at the beginning, A7, D7, E7, for all three of those chords, there's outside notes.
That sounds more like the happies to me.
The what?
The happies, not the blues.
I know, it's the happies. Why?
I don't think of you as a bluesy guy. I'm like, you're not sad. You're always happy. Why would you play
I'm
blues?
always happy, but yeah. But you think about that A7, that D7, that E7, and there's notes in every one of those chords that don't belong to the pentatonic or the blues scale. Okay? So for instance, we got our blues scale. I'll do this real quick, okay? Well, we got this, I should say A7. Well, this note is not in there.
Oh, is this like where the Mixolydian stuff comes in?
Yes. So we got that guy. So if I'm, number one, minor shouldn't work over it, but it does. It's the blues.
Yeah.
But so you can introduce that note there, but then when the D7 comes along, you got that note in there.
Right. Oh yeah, totally.
But it's not in the scale. Okay. But you throw a little spice in there when that chord comes along, it's going to sound real nice. And same thing with the E7. Now you got two notes. But those two notes are not in the scale. In fact, they're very outside of the scale there.
So is that theory-wise, would that be a Mixolydian chord progression? I'm just asking.
Let me
I
think
have no
about.
idea.
Well, I wouldn't know what a Mixolydian chord progression is. I know that the Mixolydian is the major scale with a flatted 7. So
it's like the gambit.
So yeah. But
That kind of sound.
a Mixolydian is typically played over the 5 chord
Oh, okay.
because it has the flatted 7 in it.
So
which
what's
is
that
usually,
chord?
E7.
Okay.
So when I'm thinking about it again, but you're just thinking about the chord shape. You could be thinking about some mode or something like that, and that's fine. But now here's a little. This is the revelation that I had the other night, was that, okay, I'm very familiar with that in regards to this first position. And that's great, because I can sit there and I can noodle around, and you'll go, oh, he knows where that chord is. He's following the chord. But what about other positions? Because now all of a sudden you move to another position, and you have 4 new notes to bring about. Now you've got to memorize that. So what I always suggest to you is get really good at one position. and understand how to phrase that way. Because number one, it's a default. You can always go to it and then sound intelligent. But also, if you don't understand it in one position, adding 5 new positions or 10 more positions isn't going to help them out.
Totally.
I always think about jugglers, right?
Yeah.
If people are juggling with 2 balls, and they're like, I suck at this. I wonder if a 3rd or 4th ball will help.
It'll really help.
No.
Yeah.
Just make it simple, right? Juggle 1 ball. Mm-hmm. So in the same way here, get used to one position really well, add those color notes, and then when you got a good grasp of that, then move to another position and just let that jam track just go over and over. Don't be afraid of letting that thing play for an hour.
Yeah.
Don't think you're going to get it in 5 minutes or one time through. It's not going to work.
Such a simple way to do that is to just look for the octaves.
Yes.
Like there's that special note. Oh, but now it's in position 2. So now that you got the, I always think you can like position 2 and position 1 if you're just adding that note.
Yeah, exactly. So he's basically played the same lick, but down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're essentially playing the same lick at different octaves.
Yeah.
And then you can take it down further.
But because the B string is
It's a different interval.
jacked up, because it's been that way for hundreds of years, because it's tuned differently, you have the opportunity to play some different licks because of the way that the fingering happens, you know? And even if not, you're in a different place on the neck, so the listener's going to be like, oh, he's playing all over the neck.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
you know the little secret.
The same lick all over the neck.
Right. But it's cool. And in fact, you did something, you showed me sometime where you did the same thing 3 times.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you did
Yeah, it's
there?
basically you do that thing.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and you're just chaining it
You have
together.
to show me that one later.
Yeah.
Note for note. That's pretty cool. Great stuff. Okay, we're going to go about 9 more minutes here, my friends. Really quickly, though, let me tell you a couple things I want you to do. Hey, Chris, do you have that URL? Brett's? Oh, it's in the description of the video. Okay, thanks, bud. Okay, in the description of the video, okay, there's also a link for Brett's courses, okay? And you're running a special right now.
Yeah, it's one specific course. It's a course in minor pentatonic, and then you get a free. So I have these big courses. That course is like 10 hours or something like that.
Whoa!
And then you get kind of the shorter version of those courses, but different jam tracks and stuff for free. It's called,
Nice.
So the big series is called Blues Soloing Secrets, and that's minor pentatonic level 2. So it's a little more intermediate-ish. But then you get one I have called Stash Licks Minor for free.
What is it called?
Stash Licks.
Stash Licks. I love that. Sure.
So, but those are the main courses that really take the deep dive is the Blues Soloing Secrets, and I have them in both major and minor. So if
Beautiful.
you're, whatever you're better at.
Yes.
But that particular link takes you to a special. But if you are already good in minor, just hit me with an email, and I'll give you guys the same special if you want to do major. So the level
Beautiful.
2, you'll get the other one for free.
Beautiful. Okay, so you can find that link in the description of the video, okay, on YouTube here. Couple other things. We're going to answer a few more questions, but very quickly, please share this for a chance to win a lifetime membership to UGS/365, okay?
I like that, UGS.
UGS for short. I'm tired of saying Unstoppable Guitar System. Soon I'll be just saying UGS.
Yeah, exactly.
UGS. You know what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
So lifetime course there. It's $400 value. We're going to give one of those away. Also, I'm going to give this guitar away on September. Are we in September? Sure we are.
Yeah.
September 29th. That's a Saturday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. We're deep diving into finger picking, and we'll be using
that
electrics.
Guitar. Not to interrupt you, but I have to say this though. That specific kind of guitar, the Fender Road Worn series, for the money, hands down, are the best guitars on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like the Strat kind of thing, that particular model of Strat is in. I used to have the one with the humbucker in it too.
Yeah.
One of my favorite guitars ever. They just play good. They sound good. They feel good. Like you cannot beat that guitar for the money.
Yeah, thank you so
They're
much,
amazing.
Brett. And then when I did a bunch of demos for it, so you guys are going to hear this thing in real time shortly. Well, you just did, but with other songs and other applications and stuff, not just blues. So, and we'll be giving away lots and lots of courses for that. So please share this. Check out YourGuitarSage.com/live. Do not forget to download the PDF, because a lot of the stuff that Brett and I are talking about is going to apply, and you probably have a free something they can download too, right? A book or
yeah.
or
They're
some
the last few videos I put up are they're excerpts from the courses that I'm talking about, but you get the jam track and then the tabs.
Beautiful.
Everything comes with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just follow Papa Stash 102
Yeah.
on YouTube, okay,
Thank you, sir.
for more of that. You are welcome, sir. Okay, let's get to, is that it? I think that's it. Well, let's get to some more questions here. If I forget, I will, I'll jump in. I'll say something. Okay, can you explain the difference between soloing with the pentatonic modes and soloing using the cage system? We kind of touched on that.
Yeah, they're
a few
kind of one and the
times.
same.
We touched on that a few times. Okay. Mixolydian is such an ugly word. It's not if you want to play over a dominant chord. It's the one. When you step out of the pentatonic scale, are you thinking modal or notes of the chord you're playing? Chord.
Chords.
Chords. Always chords. Because if you're thinking scale, you're going to play a scale. I had a video that came out the other day, and boy, kids get controversial on guitar videos. It's crazy. It's like it's politics. But nonetheless, this is a controversial video, and it's called You're Playing Your Scales Wrong, because I'm like, yeah, it's one thing to...
Right.
And that's fine. Play your scales, but after that, once you know them, stop playing them like that, because
Yeah.
you don't step on stage and solo like this.
Or you won't be for long.
Yeah, no one's going to be like, well, he knows his scales. We're talking about phrases, right? So in the same way, you don't hand a dictionary or thesaurus to a 3-year-old and say, go. You
Right.
teach them the words that they need first and teach them how to phrase, how to say things that they need to get the job done.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're talking about here. Just get the job done. When you're going to get really fancy pants, then you can do that, but not before you get the job done.
Well, and think of
Be simple.
the scale is a map, right? And the chords and the chord tones, that's where you want to go.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So think of a scale as a
That's
big
a great
map.
way to
It's
think
a
about
bunch
it,
of
yeah.
there's potential.
Right.
You know, there's a big city map, but like I
Exactly.
want to get to this coffee shop. That's where the chords are.
Yeah.
It's like
If you had a map of Disney, you wouldn't go, cool, and then just start running around,
Right.
just,
Where's the
zigzagging.
Space Mountain chord?
No, you'd have a course that you would,
Yeah.
so same thing. Okay. How to extend chords to fit into the cage system. The cage system is extending those chords. It's literally just extending those chords. Okay.
It's you might have heard the term inversion too. It's basically learning them versions of your chords all.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right, and there you see we put Brett's link in there. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, good. Couple more. We got about 3 more minutes here. Is this road worn made in Mexico? It is.
I think
It's
all the
road
road
worn.
ones are.
Are they? Yeah. And I know that there's certain years that basically they say the Mexican strats are the same as the American strats. I don't know what those years are.
They
You
are.
really have
They're
to.
the same.
Yeah, you've got to deep dive into knowing all that stuff. But it was priced like an American.
This isn't
tell you
a
that.
knockoff on either place,
Mm-hmm.
but of all the strats I've ever really loved, they've been Mexican strats.
Yeah, me too. I've owned so many Mexican strats. I've owned several Americans. And my 65 is that one plays nice, but I've owned several 60.
We're talking in the realm of mere mortals.
But other than that, all the Mexicans I've had
a 65 Strat?
I do. You've played it. You forget. It's a gem. 9 Fathoms makes a great point here. More bands should spit blood, like Kiss. What do you think?
I'd say
There's no one spitting blood.
no,
now.
and maybe Slipknot, but entertainment is the takeaway from that. It's not just playing.
They played last night.
it's
Weren't they on
entertaining.
something last night?
Kiss?
My mom said they were playing somewhere
Probably.
last night. It was like
Probably.
I think
They're
it-
smart too, 'cause
no, dude, you know what it was?
It's
it was
makeup. They're never gonna look. It's still always makeup. So as they age,
Who
they
is
still.
right. It was they were playing like The Voice or
Oh,
American
geez.
Idol or something.
Really?
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Oh, maybe
on.
it was American Got Talent.
Come on,
Is that what
Gene.
it is?
Maybe it was that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was with the English girl who's kicking A right now. It was with
My
her.
buddy's band played on that too the other night. The Struts. Have you heard that band?
The what?
The Struts.
Oh, that's your
Dude.
buddies. Yeah.
Their new album coming out, I listened to it.
The
It's not out yet,
Struts.
is ridiculous. But if you are a fan of rock, run to your wherever you buy stuff.
Rock like who? What are we talking? Like the Strokes?
No. like if you're a fan of like classic rock, I hate to use this reference because they're more than Queen, but Queen meets hard rock.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you taught one of the guys in the band, right?
But and they're incredible live. The singer is like has magical powers as frontman. They're just amazing, and they're really good songwriters.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Go check them out.
How would you play variations of the ninth chords using the Cage system? Inside UGS, I deep dive into this. So I say, okay, here's the Cage system. Let's learn the major chords. But then I also go minor chords, seventh chords, ninth chords.
Really?
Yeah, because
that's
it's
good.
helpful. You know what I mean?
Heck
I think
yeah.
I'd probably stop somewhere around the ninth chords because once you start, this is what I found is as a player, you start getting to a certain place where once you teach the technique, then you're going to come up with the 11ths and the 13ths and everything. There's no need for me to continue to create courses like that. You're going to get the idea. I had someone not argue with me the other day, but I said, how to memorize the notes on the neck, and they said, well, you didn't teach me how to memorize it. You told me what the open positions are and how to know the alphabet. And I'm like, there's no player out there who has every note memorized because this fret, without knowing where it's in relation to the other frets, doesn't look like anything different.
Right.
So it's not like I could point this to Stevie Ray Vaughan, covering everything up and say, what fret is that?
Yeah.
He wouldn't know.
Right.
He has to have relationship to the rest of the neck.
Right.
So in the same, and I asked him, I said, well, did you memorize learning 1 through 1,000?
Yeah.
Can you count 1 to 1,000,000?
It would take a long time.
It would take a long time, but you could,
coffee.
even though you've never done it before, because we know there's a system. Same thing, there's always systems for understanding stuff, so that you don't have to memorize thousands of chords. You build them on the fly. You can get very quick at this, so you're not having to literally sit down and memorize thousands of chords, thousands of scales, etc. You understand the patterns and the systems. That's what Brett and I do.
Yeah.
We just hack stuff and say, here, this is how to do it, okay? Okay, I'm just going to get to a couple more, even though I said I would stop here. Did I ever check out Quite Enough by Resurrection Band? Great blues solo. No, but I remember them as a kid, the Res Band. Yep. Did you ever hear
see
those
that
guys?
Marcus King
Who's that?
guy?
Who's that?
Blues guy, young blues kid that
No.
sings like sounds like
How old?
sounds like Joe Cocker
How old
and
is he?
plays guitar like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
It's
It's 4.
21
Okay,
maybe.
yeah.
Dude, ridiculous player.
Yeah.
So good.
Nice. I know there's so many amazing players out there now. Makes me want to burn my guitar. Eric Larson, what band was that? The Struts.
The Struts, yeah.
STRUTT?
Just one T.
TS. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cage system is terrible. KJ is saying.
Okay. Well,
KJ.
doesn't work for everybody.
No. Okay, that's it, my friends. I think that's all we're going to do today. I think we're good. We're 2 hours in, and okay. So, friends, make sure you check out the link. It's up above. It's in the description of the video. Check out Brett's stuff. Visit him, please, on YouTube. Great teacher, Papa Stash 102. Check out the PDF that you have there, the live show, YourGuitarSage.com/live. In that PDF that I provided for you today, there's 2 links. One is for a free course that I've got. It's the top 30 lessons that I teach all my students. If you guys haven't taken advantage of this, you need to, because it's going to teach you the basics of theory that you just have to know. If you don't know this stuff, you should be playing guitar. No, you got to know the basics. But those of you that want to deep dive and go further into it, there's a $1 offer where you get to see the whole system for 30 days. So check those 2 out. All right. Other than that, my friends, we will see you. And you want to play something on the way out?
We can. Sure.
We'll noodle a little something. You want something?
I love that picture. That's a great picture. That's good stuff. Do that one, the Smoky Blues.
The Smoky Blues, the
Is
slow
that
one?
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna do a little Smoky Blues in A,
Yeah.
so you guys can noodle along with us, and maybe we'll take like a whole verse. If you want to take the first one, or you want me to go first, or all right.
Swing 8s. Oh my God, yeah.
Take first. Me? Yeah. Dead fret right there. Oh, you got chipped. I wanted to hear more, man. All right, my friends, we're out of here. See ya.
Oh, dude,
nice.
that was like Ingve precision right there.